Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, and let me just change this little thing here. It is Wednesday, March 8th. Welcome to the studentloanjustice.org live stream. My name is Alan Collins. I am founder of Student Loan Justice. If you're new to the group, welcome. We're glad that you found us. We are the oldest and largest and only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. My apologies to whoever wrote that song. Was it the Motels? Anyways, I've got summer on my mind, ladies and gentlemen, and the reason is this. Well, number one, it's freaking frozen winter here in northern Wisconsin still. We've got well over 2 feet of snow on the ground and more coming tomorrow. I'm also stranded because the SLJ van died over a month ago now. So I guess it's fair to say that I'm getting a little stir crazy. But summer's going to be big for us, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, hopefully, if you've been with this group for any length of time, the Democrats sort of betrayed us last session. We're fighting for two things. If you're new to the group, we're fighting for number one, the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans. And that lies at the cornerstone of this whole thing. We're also fighting for student loan cancellation by executive order. Both of those concepts, as we've seen them in the public spotlight recently, student loan cancellation by executive order, most importantly, those two things started on this group. I kid you not. I know we don't seem like a big deal, but believe it or not, it was this group that launched the concept of canceling student loans by executive order into the zeitgeist. And it was this group that's responsible for many pieces of bankruptcy legislation that have come out over many years. We've been around for 18 years, guys. So this group is way more important than you think. Unfortunately, the Democrats betrayed us last session. So we are now, and we actually have always been, a completely politically untethered group. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group. We trust politicians of any stripe no further than we can bowl them. And it's a good thing, because I may have just killed myself when the Democrats betrayed us last session. But thankfully, there was never any trust there in the first place. So whatever, guys. Like I said, like I like to say, we're good no matter what the people in Washington, D.C. do or don't do. But, you know, the presidential elections are going to be starting up here soon. The campaigns are going to be getting into full swing this summer, starting arguably with the Iowa State Fair in, I believe, August or September. So we unfortunately have more work to do. We came so close to victory. And again, if you're new to the group, this whole thing comes down to bankruptcy, guys. No matter whether you would ever or never file, nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. But unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy returned, just that little tiny toothpick of power, we're going to be begging Joe Biden or the next president forever. And what we'll get is pardon my French, the bullshit that we've already seen, which is these feckless, fake, probably designed to fail student loan cancellation gimmicks. Now, we should be very proud that a sitting president actually has announced a student loan cancellation by executive order. That's not nothing. But guys, the Biden thing sucks. And as long as the threat of bankruptcy remains gone from us, then that's the sort of nonsense we're going to get. So this summer, the number one thing that we need to do is what we did 4 years ago, and that is go through Iowa for an extended period of time. But to that end, so I told you my van died. I told you our upcoming plans start in Iowa, but they don't end in Iowa. We haven't looked at the map yet, and we don't know what the political calendar is going to look like. But South Carolina, I think, is going to be really important. I think South Carolina may be the first state to vote in the primaries this year. So Iowa historically is always the most important place, but I think this year South Carolina is going to be important. And then, of course, the battleground states. So places like Arizona, Michigan, I'd say Pennsylvania, I would say Georgia actually is probably the most important. And North Carolina, while we're in South Carolina, North Carolina, but all of those states that I just mentioned, with the exception of Iowa, all those states, student loan debt in those states exceeds their entire state budgets. Oh, Texas. What am I thinking? Texas is probably the most important state politically. Texas is a battleground state, believe it or not. If you remember the Beto O'Rourke Senate contest, that was a very close race. And I'm here to tell you guys, we can really get stuff done. It's only during these campaigns where the politicians are willing to change their agendas and, do stuff and promise stuff, most importantly. Which brings me to the whole point of today. Like the number one important thing today that we got going on is this. It's a fundraising thing, guys, and I'm sorry about that, but it just is. We need a new SLJ van. So I actually changed our ticker today to reflect that. And it's been broken down for about a month. It's got a throwing rod. We got to get a new van. So I started a GoFundMe, and the goal, knock on wood, is to raise $6,000, which in our universe, that's a lot of money. That takes months and months to raise. I'm hoping that we can get this done sooner rather than later. So I haven't done the math yet, but if 300 people donated $20, that would actually get us there. That would do it for us. So it's actually not quite so daunting if you think about it that way. Shit, we've got 1.4 million people in our group. So honestly, we should be able to raise like $1 million without too much trouble, but whatever. Welcome to my world. We find it just exceedingly difficult to raise money typically. So yeah, if you could help us get this fundraiser off to a good start today, I would be very, very, very appreciative. And again, I hope, and particularly those who've been on the group for any length of time, you've seen us in action. You've seen us travel the country. We've probably put 30, if not 40,000 miles on the odometer over 18 years. We've probably crisscrossed the country, I'm thinking, around 4 or 5 times. That's about right. And that's not like crisscross. That's like a circle, a figure eight, like we've been through every single state at least twice at this point. With the sole exception, I believe, of Arkansas. We've never been to Arkansas. I don't know. why that is, but we've been, yeah, any state you can mention, we've been there probably twice. I think Maine, we've only been once. Anyways, it really helps for us to be mobile and us to be going where the action is. And if you remember, like during the presidential debates and also the conventions in 2016, you remember us getting all over on the TVs and stuff with our awesome signs and stuff, like really pesky. It's fun. It's actually fun. And by the way, if you're out there and you want to come join me, I'm telling you, it's actually fun to hang out and go to these fairs and go to these conventions and go to these debate places. You know, it's like a one big like picnic or a fair or a carnival or something. Sort of crazy people show up there, and I don't know. I have a great time doing it. And we get stuff done is the most important thing. And you know, we carry a far, far higher profile today than we did 4 years ago when we were slogging around frozen Iowa 4 years ago, begging Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg and people like that to do things. I think almost none of them knew who we were at that time. I think all of them know who we are at this point, with all the media that we've gotten and stuff, and particularly with the loan cancellation thing, on which we've been on Fox News and CNBC and MSNBC and CNN and The Guardian and New York Times, all the press coverage that we've gotten over the ensuing 4 years. So this kind of all comes down to our van, guys. Either we have one or we don't. Oh, and I am actually stunned and thrilled to report that as of a few minutes ago, and I rolled this thing out like not even like 8 or 9 hours ago, we've already raised like $440. 40 of those dollars were mine. I threw in a little jumpstart thing there, but yeah, no, $400, man. I mean, that's like we're like an eighth of the way there almost now, or like a tenth of the way there, or something. So we're off to a good start. But I would just ask everybody, if student loan justice, if this group, if what we're all about and what we're fighting for, with supreme integrity, I might add, unlike other groups I could mention, I hope that you'll pitch in and help us make this thing happen. Not to mention, if you just appreciate me personally, like I'm sitting here stranded in the middle of the frozen Northwoods in Wisconsin. So it would be kind of nice if I could like go to the Y like once a week and take a shower and stuff. Oh, that's another thing I didn't mention. I don't have running water where I live. So, anyways, but no, if you appreciate this group, all that we've done, all that we're poised to get done, we are making history here. Make no doubt, have no illusion, make no mistake about that. We are indeed making history. The record will show, and we're doing it with the utmost, absolute integrity. We don't do deals with dirty people. We don't take money from student loan. We don't do deals with student loan collection companies. We don't sell our members out. The absolutely and the only place that we get money from is from you, from just by and large distressed student loan borrowers. So you can imagine how hard that is. I got a royalty check for my book the other day, which was like $50 for, I think it was a biennial thing. So I make about $100 a year on my book sales. And beyond that, dudes, it's all you. Student loan justice scam, or no, sorry, the student loan scam. You can buy it now. Beacon Press. I'm sure it's on Amazon and all that stuff. So, okay, guys, I'm going to look for your questions and comments right now. I know there's a lot going on. Eating a marshmallow here. I know there's a lot going on right now. If you have any questions or comments, if you want to talk about anything substantial in the student loan policy and political world, this is your forum to put it out there. And I'm happy to entertain any and all questions, comments, editorial opinions, and otherwise. Let me just do a quick refresh here. So the song I was trying to play, Suddenly Last Summer, God, I kind of screwed that up. I actually know that song. I had tried to learn literally in the 37 seconds before I had to come on this live stream that Cars song, Summer, 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 Summer. And I actually got it nailed, but I was not quite there where, anyways, you don't care. Doesn't matter. All right. Just trying to fill the awkward silence here while I look for your comments on Facebook. And I can't always see your comments, but it looks like I'm going to be able to see them tonight. Good. So I hope that you all are doing well out there in the world. Maybe I can't see your comments. So I hope that you all are doing well. Anyways, so there's a lot going on right now. Here's where we are at with cancellation. Biden basically put forth a very weak student loan cancellation of up to $10,000 or up to $20,000. Our opposition sued him, and a couple of the cases actually made it to the Supreme Court. Those cases could go either way. We've got a conservative Supreme Court right now. If they rule, just looking at the law, it's a slam dunk in favor of loan cancellation. If they let politics get into it, then they'll decide against it. Yeah, Jack, I don't see any comments here yet tonight, Jackie. Wow, crickets. That's crazy. So but that's okay. I think 90% of the people who watch our live streams watch them after the fact in the first place. So yeah, whichever way the Supreme Court thing goes, guys, it almost doesn't matter to us. I mean, this problem is not going away no matter how that Supreme Court case goes. And if you're in this group and you're listening to me, you probably owe a lot more than $10,000. Like, we have people who rack up $10,000 in interest in a year. I think I'm a member of that club. I haven't even looked at my student loans in years and years at this point. We have people in our group that are like, why don't you just add 10,000 onto my balance, because it's just complete nonsense. So if you're in that club, you're very welcome in this group. If you're over the age of 50, you're very welcome in this group. If you're over the age of 35, very welcome in this group. If you're a veteran, if you're a woman, if you're African American, if you're white, if you're if you live in a red state, like the entire South, for example, you're very welcome in this group. If you're a conservative, you're very, very welcome in this group. If you're a Democrat, of course, you're welcome in this group. If you're a libertarian, no matter what your stripes are, if you're watching me and you have student loans, you're very welcome in this group. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group, as I said. But yeah, this summer it turns out, and we should be done by now. Let me just say, we should be done by now. The Democrats should have passed our legislation last year. Frankly, they betrayed us. Here are our strengths, ladies and gentlemen, our strengths writ large. Well, on this group, we've got 1.4 million people. I kid you not. Doesn't seem like it, but we do. We've got 1.2 million people on our petition. We've got hundreds of thousands of people on our email lists. We've got like 20,000 people on our Facebook, and many millions of like hits on our Giphy website, for whatever that's worth, but I'm not counting that. I'm just counting people who signed our petition or are on our Facebook, Twitter, and our email list. So we're about 1.4 million people, and that's good, but it's only good if all or even a significant percentage of those people help us. It means nothing for me to brag about it if nobody's doing anything. And Jackie knows exactly what I'm talking about. And by the way, I just want to talk about the force of nature that Jackie Abron is. This week, we are urging everyone to get a letter to the editor arguing either or for bankruptcy, the return of bankruptcy to student loans, for student loan cancellation, or both, in your local newspaper, a letter to your editor. And I am here to report to you people that Jackie has gotten a letter, different letters, by the way, not the same letter all the time. I think several letters at least. She's gotten 8 letters published in various publications across the state of Texas, and even nationally, if you count the 2 that were at the Angry Bear blog. So talk about pulling one's weight. I can tell you that Jackie A. Braun is carrying her weight and the weight of probably 50 other people, if not more. Jackie, I salute you. You freaking rock. Yeah. And she likes to, and I'm not going to speak for her, but I think she enjoys doing it because she's becoming a rock star. And I would hope that Jackie will tell you it feels good to fight this fight. And here are the real big numbers that I was alluding to earlier. There are 43 million federal student loan borrowers in the country. 38 million of them were underwater on their loans. They were never going to be able to repay their loans. They had either stopped paying, that's over half, or they were paying, but their loan balance was going up. They were screwed on their student loans before the pandemic. That's 38 million people who we are fighting for and who should know about us and who should be here fighting with us. But it's even more than that, because I'm only talking about federal student loans. When you talk about private student loans, that's another 10 million people. And again, around 8 million of those 10 million people, maybe 7 million. I think people with private loans are probably doing a little better. But that's another 6, 7, 8 million people who are losing sleep over their student loans. Again, they should be on our side. So we should actually have 44 million or so people fighting on our side with us, including you. Now, on any given night, any given day, I usually don't see more than a few hundred, maybe a few thousand people at the most doing our stuff, like our daily actions. The most helpful thing that you can do if you don't have a lot of time is our daily actions. And we do these not every day. Right now we're doing them maybe 3 times a week, but we will be doing them more and more often as the year goes on. And I probably by the end of summer, we're going to be doing them damn near every day. You can see them. Oops. You can see them right there. And I update them weekly, but like even now, if you were to go there and do the past 2 weeks of our daily actions, or maybe past 3 weeks, and they're very quick, by the way, that like you pretty much usually only need like Twitter. It's like retweet this, retweet that. Sometimes a daily action takes no more than about 15 seconds to do. Sometimes we ask people to send emails. This week, we're asking people to write letters to the editor of their local newspaper and argue for bankruptcy or for cancellation or both. So thank you, Jackie. Just to put an exclamation point on that fact. I mean, I am just thrilled with what Jackie's getting done. But Jackie and I and Gordon and Lisa and Joanna and Michael and, all the Nicholas, all the diehards on this group, we can't do your work for you. We cannot. We will be here 5 years from now, completely, pardon my French, fucked if you don't help us. And that's just a fact. Now, with a little tiny group, like 4 years ago, we didn't even have probably 50,000 members. With a very small group, we have been able to move mountains. We wouldn't have had that bankruptcy but for this group. We wouldn't even be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order but for the people on this group. So this group is the thought leadership for the student loan issue in this country. And that sounds, that may sound exaggerated, but I don't give a damn if it is. I know the truth, and that is the truth. And you can Google it for yourself. In fact, Google student loan cancellation by executive order, Google student loan cancellation or cancel student loans, quote, and then by executive order, and do a news search. And the very first example of a news item in the news that even talks about whether the president has the power to cancel student loans by executive order or not is a very seminal Vice News interview we did with Ali Conti. And just look at the record. Before anybody was talking about student loan cancellation by executive order, we had started our petition in March 2020. It wasn't until September of 2020 when our petition was blowing up, when we were going on Fox News and Newsweek and pretty much many, if not most of the networks, Yahoo News, etc. It was only when we were blowing up big time in the media that Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer embraced the concept. And I'm not so sure that I'm glad that they did at this point. I'm glad they did, obviously. That's our whole goal, is to get political people to do what we tell them to do. And so on that, we should be thrilled. But guys, I think the Democrats really showed their true colors last session, and they showed that indeed they actually are pretty much beholden to the colleges, the Department of Education, and the student loan swamp. They had everything they needed to return bankruptcy, including a longstanding promise to do exactly that in the Democratic National Committee platform. They decided not to. So they really screwed us, guys. So it's going to be tougher this year than it was last session, guys, for the next 2 years. And we're going to need everybody's help. And as I said, Jackie can't do it on her own, although she damn near is, she may actually be able, what she's been able to achieve, what this group has been able to achieve, what the individuals on this group have been able to achieve, the sort of the rock stars on our group, like Lisa, our fearless co-leader, Ed McKinley, and, others. I can't mention them all. I think I did earlier, mention quite a few. It's pretty amazing what we've been able to get done with just a tiny number of core warriors. You need to join us, because we're not here for your entertainment. You're not better than us. We have Harvard grads who are getting their knuckles muddy and even bloody in this fight. We're fighting a good fight here, guys, and it feels very good to fight this fight. The Constitution is on our side. The Founding Fathers called for uniform bankruptcy laws, aka rights, ahead of the power to raise an army and declare war in the Constitution. We've got the Constitution on our side with the Founding Fathers on our side. We've got like 44 million other borrowers in the country who should be on our side. And even the most staunch conservatives, quite frankly, should be on our side. We're fighting a big government debt enslavement mechanism or something, debt indenture mechanism that is funding the colleges, which conservatives say they don't like. So we've got a huge bipartisan, broad, very broad message. The only people who shouldn't be on our side are people who are so wealthy that paying $100,000 a year for their kids' education is literally nothing to them. And so we're talking about, like, unless you're uber wealthy, like even if you're moderately wealthy and you have to pay for your kids' college out of pocket, you should be on our side. So I love this group. I love our upside. I love what we have gotten done. I love what we're poised to get done. And I know, and Ed will tell you, and I think Jackie will, and I think everybody here will tell you, the people who have been in this fight. It's a good fight to fight. And the one thing that we're missing is maybe you, probably you. Like 99% of the people on our group don't do almost anything. And I'm sorry, but that's pathetic. Too many people on this group are sitting there waiting, watching, worrying. They're wringing their hands, or they're eating popcorn and treating this as like some form of sick, sad entertainment or something. God knows they don't watch for the piano playing. Yeah, we're not here for your entertainment, guys. This is a working, fighting group. We've got a very big fight on our hands. And we are on the right side of that fight because, as Abraham Lincoln said, right does indeed make might. And we have got a massive muscle to flex. If even 10% of the people on our group were actually fighting this fight, we would get this sucker done maybe even before the Iowa State Fair. 10% of this group would be like 140,000 people a day, overwhelming the phone lines in Washington, D.C., overwhelming the media, overwhelming the email inboxes, overwhelming the Twitter accounts of elected officials, overwhelming everything. Can you imagine how strong we would be and how strong we will be when that happens? That's strong, guys. That's history making. That is country changing. And God knows it is time to get rid of this poisonous, nationally threatening student loan scam. We don't have to take this nonsense, people. We're a better country than that. We're a better citizenry than that. And this is our fight. This is the fight of our generation, like it or not. You don't get to pick your fights sometimes. Sometimes you get thrown into them. So we're all accidental activists here. You've got no excuse. We've got people like Martha with ALS who can't even walk. She can't talk. She can't eat without a feeding tube. Martha finds a way to do our daily actions. So you got no excuse, buddy. And Martha, if you're watching this, we love you so much. You are literally the heart and soul of this movement. So okay, folks, I think I've said I've said what I needed to say tonight. I'll be back on Friday for sure. I may come back tomorrow on Thursday, depending on how things are going. Please remember this GoFundMe thing, guys. Please pitch into this GoFundMe thing if you would. I mean, at the rate things are going, we could have this sucker done by the end of this month. And that would be just a huge weight off of my back. I mean, if we could raise 10,000, I could buy a fucking nice van. But anyways, no, I'm very happy with a working van. An inexpensive working van is perfectly fine. So make it happen, guys. And take some heart. We got this. No matter what happens in Washington, D.C., we got this. We have the numbers. Strength in numbers, we got the numbers. But that only matters when you step up and stand up and be counted. So, okay, folks. Hey, Joanna's here tonight with us tonight. I was talking about you earlier, Joanna. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up for now tonight. But good luck. I'll see you on Friday, if not tomorrow. Godspeed. Shout out to my recently deceased Uncle John Price. Rest in peace. And God bless everyone.